It's a new year and Alison Banton has managed to grow her business despite the recession. Her next step is to sell Burke & Scholes internationally.
At the moment now we have almost 70 stockists nationwide that stock our candles and our body products. And we just got really good news there. We've been applying to Enterprise Ireland for some grant funding so that I could take on a dedicated salesperson so I could start looking at export markets, and we got the funding. So I'm really pleased about that now. So it's just going to bring the business, the wholesale business, to the next level where we can go out and we can look at doing trade shows overseas, meeting overseas distributors, looking at export markets, because that's where I feel the growth area is now. The domestic market in Ireland is going to be fairly flat for a long time. I mean, we have been really lucky. We've been able to grow our business in Ireland during a recession. But for further real growth, we need to look to overseas markets and export.
Samantha Kelly also has good news. She sold Funky Goddess to a former customer. She can now pay outstanding bills and move on.
It's been tough. I mean, there's other things that have come along and opportunities that I wouldn't have had either if I hadn't started this, you know.
First of all,
I was headhunted by a social media company, and they want me to work for them because I'm really good at networking. I discovered I was really good on Twitter. So having Funky Goddess and being part of Funky Goddess has actually got me more opportunities. And I've also been asked to speak at some women's events to inspire them. I don't know how, but apparently I inspire people to get out there and get things done.
It really works, like this networking really does work, because I wouldn't actually stand in here if it wasn't for networking and Twitter, Facebook, and then Sun Tzu has just really...
A 2011 report on entrepreneurial activity found that in Ireland women are relatively underfunded compared to men. They are poorly facilitated and don't have access to similar levels of support. Such odds might deter some.
I definitely wouldn't discourage people from starting a business, and I think I would genuinely encourage people to start a business, because first of all, during a recession you can negotiate a lot of your inputs and your overheads in business. You get much better value than during a boom time. But the thing about starting a business in a recession is, if it works now, you'll be really well positioned for when the economy starts to pick up.
The recession has proved too much for Claire Harty. Exhaustion hit over Christmas. It affected business. Less than a year after setting up her art studio, Claire is at a crisis point and facing a major decision.
I got sick over Christmas, like a vomiting bug, and I had no time to allow myself to get better. Because I couldn't take time, I ended up being sick for 4 weeks in a row, and that's not a life. How much longer can I give myself, like at 28, with no life and no financial prospects, and, you know, living at home, and when do things improve? And I work really hard, but every time money came in, there was something else, you know, putting down floors and putting in new doors and getting the place painted, and, you know, all of these things that cost a lot of money. And when you're starting with nothing, that's where you have to put the money. I just don't want to close it. I just, when you walk in and see, like, the effort I put in, being away from it for like a couple of weeks and making the decision when it wasn't here, was so much easier, because I didn't have to look at my work. This is all my work. This is the last, like, 7 months of my life. Like, all of the sacrifice. I just didn't think it would be this difficult just to walk back in.
By late January, Claire had closed her art studio. She disabled the webpage for Little Sitters, and began looking for a job.
I cannot stress enough about how driven you have to be, because when you have your own business, it is 24/7. You're starting a business in a recession, you just come up with hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. So you have to be able to take the knocks and get back up again. And I mean, a lot of cases when businesses fail in the first year or two, it's either because the idea wasn't good enough or they didn't have enough money or cash flow, but it also is because they didn't have enough drive.
See, there's a failure of a business is not necessarily a failure for me. Like, the business could fail. That doesn't mean I failed, because I know, like, I have put so much into this and I have done so well out of it, as in connections I've made and people who've noticed me and friends I've made. I know that I'd get a job tomorrow because people have noticed me and I work so hard.
Samantha Kelly may have sold Funky Goddess, but her social media skills have landed her a new job. She's now Irish Ambassador for the global social networking site Sun Tzu. And Madeline's quest for publicity ended when the Tea Rooms became one of a number of local businesses to feature in a poster campaign organised by Carlow Enterprise Board. The summer sunshine means longer opening hours, and Madeline is hopeful.
It's a gamble, you know. People are saying you're working twice as hard for a quarter of the income, but that's the way it is. I think every adult has a responsibility to look after themselves, and I think it can be a good thing if we just work our way through it. It's within all of us to be able to get ourselves out of this hole.
On the way next tonight, a group who certainly experienced success